What is going on, everybody? John Impemba here with Britt, Flinn. Welcome into the Fantasy Lime NFL Game Day Preview Show. It is Week 10 of the NFL season. Britt, how quickly does time fly? We talk about it all the time. All the preparation it takes to get to the start of the fantasy football season, and we're already halfway through it. Fantasy football playoffs, believe it or not, for some, are just a couple of weeks away. I mean, it is crazy how quickly this season moves.
Yeah, it's been absolutely insane. And there are games all the time, like these early games, then the big slates, then Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night. It's like your whole week is taken up by football that you don't realize how fast it's going. But yeah, the playoffs are coming. I'm already dealing with trade questions in a bunch of the group chats that I'm in because the trade deadline for a lot of your fantasy leagues is either very close or has already come and gone. So yeah, we're in it. We're fully in it.
Yeah, trade deadline for most of my leagues come next week. So yeah, the same thing though. People are wondering moves to make. I want to get your quick take here because Coop and I did obviously the Thursday show, and we had a couple of questions on vetoes in leagues. Are you in leagues that do vetoes for trades, Britt?
I am. Typically, people don't veto trades, but I will say the very first trade that I ever attempted got vetoed, and it left a very sour taste in my mouth. I was the only girl in that league, and so I feel like that maybe had something to do with it. But yeah, it just left a sour taste in my mouth. Typically, I don't veto trades unless it's just blatant collusion.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. Unless there's very obvious, very blatant collusion, vetoing should not be a thing because who are you to say what one team needs versus another team? And more often than not, the vetoing isn't necessarily due to the unfairness of a trade. It's more so you don't want the guy that is maybe chasing you down in the standings or already ahead in the standings, getting a player that can help them improve their team. So to me, I just like to take it all out of it. Or if you want to, use some sort of like independent, the commissioner almost outside of the league that has no dog in the fight to make a decision on a trade there. But for me, I'm no go on trades. Coop was no go. Sorry, no go on vetoes. Coop was as well, unless there's very obvious collusion. I see everybody in the chat popping in here already. Love it. Ann in there. Dan, Darius, more Dans. Sellers is in there. Another Dan. We have three Dans in the chat already this morning.
That's awesome.
Dan, Darius, Pronto, Ralph, Rob. So appreciate it. You all joining in. We have another 9:30 game here. Patriots Colts kicking off shortly. So I know we have some of those questions to kind of get to for today. Before we do jump into today's stream here and answer these questions, Brett, what's your number one story you're watching for today?
I'm kind of watching the Bengals. Can they keep it going if Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are both out? I think that Chase is officially a 50-50. They're going to test him out in warmups. Joe Burrow's looked really good. We've got Andre Yosevich, who has kind of coming pretty clutch in times when Higgins and Chase haven't been able to play. But having two of your top receivers out is going to be a very tough task, especially against a Jacksonville defense. I mean, not Jacksonville. Sorry, Houston. Yeah. I'm very sleepy still.
Yeah, listen, I think that in those injuries to that wide receiver group are the reason why you go look at our draft percentage forecaster for DFS today, and Joe Mixon's running away with it at the running back position. Everybody is just assuming without the top tier wide receivers, you're going to be running the football a lot, and that's why we've been fielding a lot of Joe Burrow start-sit questions this week as well. One of the guys that I've had people ask me whether or not to play Joe Burrow over is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray making his season debut here today at home against Atlanta. How are you feeling about Kyler Murray here today, Britt?
I think he's a full go. I think that they just kind of held him out as a precautionary thing to give him time to learn the playbook. He's had a couple weeks. He could have been activated and come back 2 or 3 weeks ago. I feel really, really good about him today, especially reuniting with Marquise Brown. I think that this could be the day that Arthur Smith finally gets the can.
I mean, there's I saw a report today. It was tweeted out. I guess Diana Rossini said that we expect to see more Bijan Robinson moving forward. Now, is that because Arthur Smith went out there and said Tyler Algier is the best short yardage goal line back in the NFL, and the owner's like, yeah, I don't know. The stats don't actually back that up. We should probably play the guy we drafted 8th overall. We'll see if that ends up being true or not. Because again, Arthur Smith literally does not care. I saw somebody tweet out that we need to make sure that we do not allow the Atlanta Falcons to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. next year. They won't be in position to trade him given their current record, draft him given their current record. But at all costs, we need to prevent Marvin Harrison Jr. to go to Atlanta unless there's a new head coach there.
Absolutely. That would just be the most tragic. Can you imagine the 30 for 30 that would come from that?
Best assembled offense that ever was. 30 for 30.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. How one man took down the best offense in football by not using them. All right, enough of this. Let's get into it, guys. We appreciate you all in chat. If you haven't done so already, please like today's video. Throw some comments in the chat. We're answering your questions here today. And if you haven't already subscribed to the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel, what are you waiting for? We do shows every day, multiple times a day for all sports. And we do multiple live streams here on Sundays and Thursdays, getting you ready for football day. So let's get into it here. First question of the day. Where is it? Ann has our first question of the day here. Morning FA Nation. Quick one before games kick off. Moss, Woods, Wilson, or drop Woods for Noah Brown. I would imagine this is, but Fury's a shining new toy. What are your thoughts? I'm assuming this is Jelani Woods or
I think Robert Woods.
Robert Woods, okay. I wasn't sure because it was a Colts question. So it's Moss, Robert Woods, or Marquise Wilson, or Michael Wilson, or Noah here.
So I really like Michael Wilson, and especially against zone coverage, which he's going to see a ton of today. I think he's got a 76 grade on PFF against zone coverage, which is like 15 points better than Marquise Brown. So Marquise Brown should get the targets from Kyler Murray, but I think that Michael Wilson has a better chance to pop off for big plays. That said, Noah Brown with Robert Woods and potentially Nico Collins out is going to get that snap share. So I'm leaning towards him for today, maybe rest of season. I would look at Wilson, but yeah, I think Woods is droppable and you start Noah Brown here.
Yeah, Noah Brown for me as well. Again, you could be with that. He's already getting the slot snap shares anyways. And if you take out Nico Collins here, and the Bengals, secondary is something that we've looked to exploit at times this season, and they just, Houston just cannot run the football, so not really helping them out here. Ann says good morning. Dan says good morning. Albert says good morning. Darius says good morning. And a Marquise Brown, Gibbs for T. Higgins and Rashad White trade question here.
Ooh, no. I think I would stick with what you've got. T. Higgins with that hamstring really worries me.
Yeah.
White's usage has only been good in the passing game. When he actually has to run, he's not that great.
Yeah.
I think that Gibbs' role, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, and Brown has Kyler Murray back. So I would stick with that side.
I'm going to keep those two. Even though Dan Campbell again came out and says they don't envision Gibbs being a guy that's a 60% snap share guy. Unfortunate, but I think he's certainly proven that if they need him to hand the football off, they should have some confidence in that. Dan saying good morning. Seller saying we need football every day. We were close to that back in the COVID days. They were giving us Tuesday night football and things like that here. Darius saying go Hogs. Got Arkansas fan there. Toronto. Dave says what's up with the alarm. Ralph wants to know Lawrence or Howell today. Britt.
Oh, that's tough. So the thing with this game is that I think it's being very underreported on. In that San Fran-Jacksonville game, there are supposed to be wind gusts 25 to 30 miles an hour. I think that this game goes through the ground. I'm actually leaning Sam Howell today, which is very counterintuitive, but the pass attempts are there. The accuracy might not be there, but he's putting up fantasy points.
Yeah, definitely. Though that was one of the reasons I like Sam Howell this week, and the quarterback coach that I wrote up, and then Howard in his playbook alluded to it as well. Nobody dropping back more than Sam Howell. They throw that football 40 plus times a game. The one thing we have to watch when that Washington-Seattle game is also there could be some rain. Now, current weather reports suggest that most of that rain's coming after the game, but you definitely want to sort of stay tuned to that information as we get closer to kickoff here in case any of those weather reports end up shifting to suggest a heavier rain will be during that game there. Rob wants to know Rashid Shaheed or Brandon Cooks in a PPR.
I think I'm going to roll with Shaheed. I know that he's been boomer bust, but in a game that Dallas is favored by 18 points now, I think is how it's moved. I just don't see Cooks getting any work. So going to go Shaheed here.
Yeah, he'll need to be. He needs to be the one scoring the touchdowns, Brandon Cooks, before that game is over. So give me Shaheed there as well. Especially, I mean, I don't think there's been any discipline for Michael Thomas there. Get the detainment, arrest, whatever. Something about the Saints wide receivers this year. They just getting some issues these last few weeks.
And it's in the same town.
Is it?
It's in Kenner. They've both been in Kenner.
Ralph wants to know PPR flex. Now, Downs is active today. Douglas also expected to play. Hunter Henry or Noah Brown for PPR.
This is tough. I think I would still lean Noah Brown, honestly. I know that the Colts haven't been that great against tight ends, but I don't really trust two receivers who are questionable than a low-scoring game, Hunter Henry with Mac Jones. So I think I'm going to go Noah Brown.
Yeah, Noah Brown's probably where I go to. We just saw Stroud throw for 470 and 5 scores. So I do like Hunter Henry, I think, of that group, just because both Douglas and Brown or Downs were questionable pretty much all week going into today. So who knows how they're doing there. Seller says Arkansas basketball, they need a new football coach. So I don't know what's going on with Arkansas, Britt. Apologies if your teams are not doing too well there. Ridley or James Cook in a non-PPR?
Ridley here, I think still. James Cook just hasn't been able to get it going on the ground.
Yeah, I agree with you. Dubs or Downs in PPR?
I think I'm still going to go Downs here, or Dubs here over Downs. I don't trust that knee and going right up to game time.
I agree with you there. Irv Smith or Jonnu Smith for PPR this week? I mean, Irv is kind of interesting if everyone's out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Texans have been pretty good against the wide receiver, actually, but not so great against the tight end.
Yeah, it's Stingley Jr. coming back for Houston secondary this week too, so helps that out there. Yeah, I think honestly, Irv Smith kind of a nice little dart throw potentially here today, because if Chase doesn't go, what the number one wide receiver is Trent Irwin or something like that today. I mean, they're bleak. Gabe Davis, Flowers, or Watson from Sellers here?
I talked about it with him privately, how I think that Gabe Davis is set up for a very big bounce back game against Denver's zone defense, especially with Pat Surtain potentially being on Stephon Diggs for the majority of the game. I think I'm going to go with Gabe Davis here, which sounds gross because he got 0 points last week, but I think that this is a better day for him.
Yeah, I mean, Flowers gets Cleveland. That's not a great matchup. Watson just been super inconsistent with the Packers there this year. So, yeah, I could see Davis going up against Denver and finding himself into a pretty good spot here. Stroud or Lawrence today? It's probably Stroud, but again, I want to see, the tough part is obviously Stroud's now down a couple of his receivers. You're hoping for rookie Tank Dell to be his number one, then Noah Brown, who's been a 4 or 5 most of his career, to be a number 2 here. I think it's a big day for Dalton Schultz, probably, if nothing else. So ride Stroud here because they just can't run that football. And like you mentioned, could be some weather factors there for Jacksonville here in San Francisco off of a bye. Maybe they've solved some of their recent pass defense struggles there. Addison or Amari Cooper this week, Britt. Coop has not been high on Addison this week with the matchup potentially of Marshawn. He's not officially out yet for today, right? Then they list him as questionable, or did he get ruled out?
This morning, I think that I saw something that he's not going to play.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like officially out or if it's just the murmurs and the whispers,
Sure.
but I don't think he's playing. So I do think that Addison does draw Marshawn Lattimore, which is really stinky because I also don't like the Cooper matchup against Baltimore's secondary. But here, I think we're just going to have to roll with Cooper because as good as Josh Dobbs looked last week, we just don't know what he's going to do against the Saints defense.
Agreed. Yeah, Ian Rappaport an hour ago. Justin Jefferson on the field. Won't be on the field until he's ready to come off IR. Potentially a good sign for next week. So, yep, agreed with you there. Gallup or Samuel? Samuel expected to come back for Washington today.
I'm going to go with Samuel. Again, that Dallas game is just going to be so out of hand. I don't think there's going to be much, if any, passing.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Again, I told Howard I think CeeDee Lamb would be the only wide receiver in this game because of the way him and Dak have played. You looked at that game against the Rams. They won by 23 or whatever it was, and it was just CeeDee Lamb that did all the damage. So there's a good chance that if they blow out the Giants today or when they blow out the Giants today, one guy is going to probably be the one that does all the damage here. Dobbs or Russell Wilson, Sellers wants to know.
I'm gonna go Russell
Yeah.
Wilson. Again, I just don't I love Dobbs. I love the story, but I just don't know what we're gonna get against the Saints.
Yep, I feel the same way here. Saquon or Hollywood in a PPR. I kind of lean Hollywood, I think, here.
Yep. So in the 6 games that Hollywood and Kyler Murray have played together, he's seen at least 9 targets in 5 out of those 6 games. So PPR gold.
Yeah, and I mean, it's again, we don't know what Tommy DeVito. I mean, good luck.
He still lives with his mom. His mom makes his bed, makes his dinner. Like
Yeah, and chicken. I tell you what, though, chicken cutlets is not a terrible thing to come home to every day. I'll tell you that much.
they're pretty good.
Set and sellers lineup here today: Reed, Pickens, or Myers.
uh yeah. Ugh. I'm gonna lean Reed just because Pickens had that little outburst and little hissy
Yeah,
fit.
no
Uh
Jair Alexander today for Green Bay, though, supposedly. So could be a little bit
yeah,
of an easier matchup for him. I'll probably go Reed as well. Well, is Reed getting a bigger snap share? I know we talked about this earlier in the week. Is he starting to overtake Dubs and Watson here? You think?
he's not overtaking them, but he is sprinkling in a little bit more. It's the usage is inconsistent from week to week, which is my only thing with Reed. But I don't know if Pickens is going to be utilized after that little fit that he had.
Right, that's fair. Ann wants to know Cook, Samuel, Wilson, or Chig need one in a PPR with tight end premium. Coop had tweeted out some things about Chigakonkwo yesterday, thinking that a big day could be coming against Tampa. Are you having the same sentiments, or are we going Wilson, Samuel, or Cooks?
Yeah, Chig was actually on my sneaky cheapies for tight end on my show. With tight end premium, I think that gives you a whole other layer of the onion.
Yeah.
And with Burks and most of the pass catchers out there, I think that he's going to have to be relied on against Tampa. So I would actually lean Chig here.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I told Bender on the DFS show I thought this game was a sneaky over. It was only a 38.5. And I was like, that feels kind of low for some bad pass defenses, but teams that can stop the run. The ability to throw the football like we think they're going to. I think the over is in play here. Gabe Davis or Downs rest of season?
I don't really like rest of season. I like to see the matchups and injuries. I would lean Downs if I knew more about that knee injury
Sure.
because I just don't know how long that's going to linger.
Yep, agreed.
So
Realize Jonnu Smith is my replacement for Dallas Goddard. Should I drop him for Irv or keep Jonnu for next week with Dallas Goddard out? So a 1 week replacement for Irv, or assume Jonnu Smith just continues to play over Kyle Pitts.
yeah, I think Jonnu Smith is the better long-term option here because Irv Smith hasn't really done much. We, don't know how long Chase or Higgins are going to be out, but at least we know what we are getting with Jonnu. So I would go with him.
Gino or Wilson? I'm gonna go Gino here.
I think you almost have to.
So disagree if you felt Wilson, that's fine.
I think maybe Wilson, but just because Gino hasn't really done much,
I
and
know.
I don't know.
It's the Commanders for me. I'm just feeling that there's a home spot against Washington. I'm liking that more than trusting Russ on prime time in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think that tips the scales to Gino, but the ceilings are low for both.
Yeah, I hear you. Lex, plant some trees. Yeah, I see your comment there. Yeah, I know we have some spam bots in here promoting some stuff. I've done my best to block them. They have like 9,000 accounts, so nothing I can do there. Achilles saying rain in Seattle. So I see that, but the reports are that by game time that the rain really isn't going to be an impact for this game. At least for now, the heavy rain and whatnot is expected to come after this game. Something to continue to monitor, though. We're watching it, but at least right now, our trusted weather report man, Kevin Roth over there at Roto Grinders, is saying it's not too much to be worried about. So if he updates that forecast, we'll update it for all of you as well with some new information. But he's pretty good at what he does there. Let's see. Jamar Chase, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, Dalton Kincaid, Taysom Hill, Christian Watson, Khalil Shakir, Zach Charbonnet. So set the lineup for Untamed Music here. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, and a flex.
Well, I'm really, really worried about Chase not starting, especially with him being 50-50. Obviously, if he starts, you play him, but you've got to have a backup, which I guess in that case is Shakir.
Yeah.
But I don't like Watson. I don't at all. So you better hope that Chase plays and that you can play Shakir.
I mean, Shakir's not a bad play given the matchup here. You're going to be playing both Kincaid and Shakir most likely against Denver, which is fine. No problem getting exposure to that passing offense.
Yeah.
For running backs, you're definitely doing Taylor and Jones. I'm not going to play Charbonnet over either of those two.
Yeah.
So a tight end. Oh, we said Kincaid already. Then your flex. Would you do Taysom Hill? Would you do Charbonnet, Watson? How would you go about that?
Yeah, I think you can put Taysom Hill in here, not because of the snaps, but just because of his work in the red zone and red zone packages. It's not going to be great because Charbonnet has outsnapped Kenneth Walker the past 2 weeks that they played. It just hasn't really resulted in fantasy points because he's out there blocking and doing other dumb things that don't result in fantasy points. When Taysom Hill's out there on his limited snaps, he's running the ball. He's getting into the end zone. He's passing into the end zone. So I feel comfortable with him as a flex.
Yep. Brendan wants to know Amari Cooper or Cortland Sutton. Cooper's got the Ravens today.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Sutton here. He's kind of been Wilson's security blanket, more or less.
Yep, agreed. Rob wants to know Dubs or Dylan for a PPR. I'm going to go Dubs here.
Yep, for sure.
And what's they're going to put Goddard on IR at some point. I need to drop somebody for a wide receiver. I mean, if they are, it probably won't come today since they're on a bye week. So,
yep, you would think that they would have already done it since it is a fracture that takes some time to heal. But if they haven't done it today, I
don't know what to do with Fournette. They haven't activated him. Do you even have any idea on like what his practice has been like?
No, I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything since that screenshot of him in like short shorts with quads, you know?
Yeah, no, they've had a tight lid on it. So I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I'm just checking Twitter and someone tweeted out that nobody really has any information on Leonard Fournette.
None at all.
Literally nobody has any idea what is going to happen with Leonard Fournette. So holding on to him, but you can't use him. So I mentioned that one already. Rain. Ann wants to know Gardner, Deshaun, or Carr needs 2, I guess, for a super flex here.
I think I'm going to roll with Gardner and Carr. Don't feel great about it, but with Jedrick Wills being placed on IR and Baltimore leading the league in sacks, I do not feel good about Deshaun Watson.
Agreed with you here. Better cast prop for tonight's Sunday Night Football game between the Raiders and the Jets. We got Aiden O'Connell over under 209.5 here, Britt. If we're doing some better cast props here for today, what are your thoughts? And those of you can check out and download the BetterCast app here. Click the links in the description. I think it's bettercast.app or something like that for the URL here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the under. The Jets' passing defense is just too good. They're too good.
Yep, I agree with you there 100%. I'm going to go with the under as well. Let's see. Byron says, good morning. Jacobs or Walker standard scoring?
This is tricky. I think Jacobs still. I think we're going to go Jacobs because, like I mentioned, Walker is getting outsnapped by Charbonnet. And Jacob at least has a chokehold on that backfield.
I'm going to go with you. It's a tough game to run against. That's my only problem with that one here. Jacobs running up against the Jets, but the volume should be there, you know? So, yeah, it's a tough one because, like you mentioned, Walker's got that rib problem. And they're just, the timeshare is being split there. Maybe they'll throw to Jacobs a little more. I know it's standard, but if you can get some of those receiving yards, it might offset the low rushing yards here. Your other running back is CMC. Well, at least you have CMC to lean back on there. Good drafting. CMC, Walker, and Jacobs. That worked out for you. Daniel wants to know Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, Jared Goff all the way. I think that this game is going to be huge. I know that people talk about Jared Goff on the road, etc. I don't think that's going to apply today. The Chargers' pass defense is wonky.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's where I'm going to go as well here. Mile High Luke says, got a question in a minute, needs to see if he won Noah Brown or not.
All right, good luck.
Yeah, let us know. Lex saying hit the like button. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so already. It certainly helps us out here. Favorite low priced D for DFS this week. I took the Bengals actually. They're home. Stroud's missing his top two wide receivers. They can't run the football. And Stroud's road passing numbers this year have not been very good compared to his home passing numbers. So I took a shot on some Bengals as a low price DFS option. No one's playing them because everybody's like, oh, Stroud just threw for 470 and 5 scores. But, they have a good pass rush there, obviously, and that secondary is getting a little bit better. So that's where I went. Daniel wants to know Mayfield, Carr, or Jones. Well, Mayfield's the cover of my quarterback coach this week. So Baker Mayfield is where I am at there with that one there, Britt.
Yep, he was on my sneaky cheapies as well against that Tennessee pass defense. I think he and Mike Evans are just going to connect all day long.
Mm-hmm. Ann says Justin or Sam. Is this Herbert or Howell?
That's what I'm assuming.
Okay. I mean, Herbert, my problem with Herbert really is the fact that, only Keenan Allen, right? Like Quentin Johnson hasn't shown up to do anything yet. Jalen Guyton isn't anything special. I worry about the lack of now weapons there. It could just be all day Keenan Allen for sure. I might lean Sam Howell here, truthfully.
Yeah, I think the passing volume alone puts Sam Howell over the top. It's one of those situations where it's not pretty in real life football, but hey, it gets you over the hump in fantasy points. And Keenan Allen should be matching up in the slot against a lot of Brian Branch, who has been one of the better corners on their defense.
Agreed. Byron wants to know Demario Douglas or Josh Downs for a flex. So a game kicking off in a moment here. The other wide receivers are Hopkins and Cooper. So I'm assuming you're starting Hopkins and Cooper then. Douglas or Downs for you here?
I'm going to go Downs still. I just can't trust New England's passing game. And the Colts secondary's been playing a little bit better.
Yeah, Douglas, Douglas is at least the number one wide receiver on that team, but I don't know what to trust here. Again, I'm a Patriots fan, as you can see by my shirt, but we suck. So I don't know. Favorite Tampa Bay stack of Mayfield? Oh, it's Mike Evans, of course. Got to go Mike Evans this week. Downfield threat, bigger red zone threat. So, and Mayfield's so cheap, you can just play him with everybody. So I like that. Mixon or Bijan for PPR for Adrian?
Man, this is so tough because we've heard that we're going to see more Bijan and we want Bijan to be that guy, but I think you still have to go Mixon here.
Yep. Mixon's where I'm at. Ann says apologies. She's going to make clearer questions. Yeah, Ann, we say this to you all the time. Not you, but the chat all the time. First and last names, people. We need some help sometimes. There's a lot of Smiths and all those things. Then first names. I mean, first names are almost even harder sometimes. Judy or Shaheed for a half PPR flex?
I'm still going to go Judy here. Shaheed has been boomer bust, and I just think that the game script trends more towards Judy.
I'd agree. And then Brad wants to know full PPR, one wide receiver, one flex. Kirk, DK, Walker, Gibbs here.
I think I'm going to go DK and Gibbs, honestly.
Sure.
But the wind worries me.
DK or Gibbs would be both wide receivers for me. Those would be the two.
Yep.
Troy saying doesn't like hearing Mike Evans over Godwin. He's leaning the other way. Well, I mean, if you think about it, Evans is just the bigger play receiver. They take more downfield shots. He's had the bigger games here. Week 3, he had the 5 for 150 and like 2 scores, whatever. Godwin's definitely more the dink and dunk guy there, but I am always been a more Mike Evans fan for tournaments here this week. So what do I think on double stack of Pittsburgh running backs? I mean, I feel like you're limiting yourself there. I do have Najee Harris in my value article today, or my value video today over there on DraftKings, especially 10 or more fantasy points and 4 of the last 5 games. They kind of have like equal workload in the passing game. They both come out of those games with like 3 or 4 catches. And then the running game is dominated by Najee Harris. So if they do get in sort of the red area here, I do think Najee is the one on the field. So I'm going Najee over Warren this week. I think Warren might even be priced higher, honestly, which is crazy. But go Najee Harris for me here today. Would you go Ridley or Adams in a PPR?
Oh, this is
I don't
so
think we can do
gross.
Devontae Adams against Sauce Gardner.
You can't. You
No.
can't.
Yeah,
So
I go Calvin this week. As sad as it is, the start that Devontae Adams got this year, just complete flip over. Do you think Devontae Adams is in Las Vegas next year?
no,
No.
I don't. I
No.
don't think that he will play, even if they don't trade him. If they want to keep him, I think that he'll sit out if they don't do something because
Agreed.
this has just been dismal.
Yep. He will go anywhere. Maybe he'll be on the Jets. Maybe he'll go to New York. Dell, Singletary, or Najee and PPR flex. I probably go Tank Dell here.
Yep, I think that's where I'm leaning as well.
Daniel wants to know Addison, Lockett, Ridley needs 2.
I think Lockett and Ridley. Addison's got that matchup with Lattimore that really has me worried.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Lockett, Ridley. I like both of those games here today. Adrian wants to know ETN or Henry in a PPR.
Ooh, this is tough. ETN though, because again, the wins, I think this game sticks to the ground. And
He's been a
ETN has
touchdown
been the guy
machine.
scoring touchdowns. Yeah.
He's been a touchdown machine. But let's see. He will as long as Pierce is the head coach. Okay. If he likes the head coach, then maybe that'll be it. But they're going to have to overhaul that quarterback position because I don't think Aiden O'Connell is the answer there.
No.
Favorite sneaky value DFS play. I don't think it's sneaky, but Bender's been big on Brandon Powell this week here. So he's like $3,500. Trent Irwin's obviously super cheap on DraftKings as well. So there's some cheap wide receivers that you can throw into some lineups here today.
And Andre Yoshavash.
Yeah.
3K on DK.
Yep. Those guys got to get some work here today. Noah Brown, $3,700 in my my value video as well today. Start 2, tight end premium. Musgrave, Brown, Connor, and Mims. James Conner activated off IR, will play today.
I'm eliminating Mims. I think I'm leaning Noah Brown. I just don't know how much work James Conner is going to get right off of IR, or if they're going to kind of keep him limited and on a snap share. The tight end premium has me leaning Musgrave and Noah.
Yeah, probably have to go Musgrave here as well. And saying it looks cold in Germany. I will agree. I just saw Robert Kraft wearing the George Costanza bubble jacket for those of you who are Seinfeld fans there. Yeah, it was he did not look comfortable sitting in the owner's box, which you would assume would have been like heated, but he looking cold there. Can we trust Connor to got some good coach speak? Listen, Gannon had a lot of nice things to say about both he and Kyler Murray, saying Kyler's knee is fine, the mobility is going to be as it was before, and all this. So like it puts a lot of like FOMO, I think, today in DFS, where people are going to want shares of the Cardinals offense just off the idea that Kyler's back, but it's like people remember Kyler Murray wasn't really that good the last time he played football, so like we'll see. Maybe it was just the offense, but I mean, if all you have is Connor, then play Connor. I mean, what running back has been so abysmal. People are like couldn't wait for James Conner to come off IR. So happy to play him if you got to play him today for sure. Gabe Davis, Josh Downs. I think we answered this one already. We don't know the knee injury issue, so Davis for us there. So and that's it for questions. Mo, we saw your question, and all of you guys here, you definitely don't need to enter your question more than once. You can we'll go down the list and get it here. Game kicked off, by the way, over in Germany. Mac Jones driving down the field early. Mike Gesicki just made a nice little catch here. So it would make sense for the Patriots to try to utilize their tight ends because lack of wide receivers. So,
yep, and it's going to be a Gesicki day, of course.
Yeah, I know, right? Ann says we killed it for props on Thursday night. Coop and I had a good day. I almost. I had an 11-pick same game parlay for that Thursday night football game. We hit 9 of the 11. We fell short on Chuba Hubbard, more than 11.5 carries. He had 9. And Chuba Hubbard over 24-plus yards. He had 23.5.
That's pretty so sad. Annoying.
Pretty sad that they didn't run the football there. At the end of the game, I thought for sure when they got like sort of in field goal territory, Carolina was going to like run the ball to get some more field position. Instead, they threw it 3 straight times, went incomplete all 3 straight times, and Pinheiro missed the 57-yarder. Why you wouldn't try to run the football to gain at least a couple of more yards for your kicker there? I don't understand it, but they didn't, and we fell short there. But you did the sleeper article here today. Britt, that's out live on Fantasy Alarm right now. Pulling up the sleeper picks QR code here for everybody. I got it somewhere. I don't know where it is. There it is. Got the sleeper picks QR code. So you guys can scan the QR code here or go to fantasystorm.com/sleeper on your mobile devices here. I know many of you already have sleeper leagues for your fantasy football leagues, but they're in the picks game now as well. And you can download or sign up using promo code VAULT3. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100 there. Again, you can scan that QR code now. And Britt, you have some picks out for today. Why don't you give a little teaser there? Give everybody one of your favorite picks today for sleeper. And you can find that article live now on Fantasy Alarm right now.
Yeah, so my top one, I kind of alluded to this on Britt's Fantasy Blitz on Friday, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, more than 82.5 receiving yards. I think he's gone over this in 5 out of the 7 games that he's played, going up against that weak Chargers defense that has allowed over 250 yards per game to the wide receiver position. This is just a smash spot for him.
Yeah, I'll add on to that one here. One of my favorite plays for today is the Deontay Johnson receiving yards again. It's at 62.5 tonight. They're home, right? They're facing the Packers. No Jair Alexander. That defense isn't all that great. And since he's come back, I mean, they've just done nothing but throw him the football, right? He's at 90 and 85 yards, or 79, 85, and 90 yards the last 3 weeks against the Rams, the Jaguars, and the Titans. Again, now the Packers here without their best corner. So I think going with Deontay Johnson there with the yardage, I like that. You like St. Brown with the yardage and yours as well. Zeke Elliott with a nice little run there. Patriots already closing in to the red zone. So if we get any scores, we'll update everybody here, obviously, today and going on there as well. Rob wants to know for a PPR here, Singletary or Sutton?
We're going Sutton. We're going to go Sutton. The Bills defense isn't what it used to be. And Singletary had all the opportunity last week, didn't do anything with it.
No, definitely. They didn't even throw to him, which was, again, they threw to everybody else. They didn't try to even check down to the running back there. So, Britt, obviously, guys, do you have any more questions? Feel free to again throw them in the chat. We are more than happy to answer those for you here. We talked about some of the storylines coming into today. I mentioned that I thought the Kyler Murray return is certainly one that we're interested in looking at here. What are some of the things that you're kind of paying attention to when it comes to this slate today?
Well, this one is a sneaky one, and I had to do a double take because it did not seem like this was real. But the last time that the Commanders have played the Seahawks on the road, or their record overall, they are 7-1 in the regular season on the road against Seattle. So that's kind of something sneaky that I'm watching, especially with as many times as Sam Howell passes the ball. Can he actually get a win on the road and continue this streak of dominance that the Commanders have? I'm also really looking at Will Levis, and can he get back on track against this Tampa Bay defense? He didn't look bad in the pocket when that pressure was coming. So I'm very interested in seeing if he can kind of not completely duplicate that performance that he had in the first week that he started, but if he can get close to it again.
Agreed. What's your thoughts on the sort of game theory play here? In our Discord, we had a lot of questions about, the viability of using Tony Pollard this week, worried about the blowout there. And then some people with bye weeks and injuries want to know, would we play Rico Dowell this week? What are your thoughts on playing the backup running back in a game that has an 18-point spread?
Yeah, I still think that Tony Pollard is fine because he's going to get the work in the first half. We saw during that 40-0 blowout in week 1, he still scored 2 touchdowns. It was the last time he did score a touchdown, actually.
Right.
So I think he gets plenty of work. But the Giants have also allowed the second most touchdowns rushing touchdowns, not necessarily to running backs. But so I think that Rico Dowdle could actually be a sneaky spot, or if you are short and if you need kind of a dart throw play. I think that they can both be viable here.
Agreed. No, I think that's something interesting. Again, sort of nothing I'm using in DFS, but I mean, it's probably a super contrarian play in DFS to be using a backup running back. But if it pays off for you, I got to see what do we think his price is over on DraftKings this week. I guess is the other question. I imagine he might be like close to min for a starting running back. Let's see. Rico Dowell is priced out on DraftKings. It's $4,300. Now, in that blood in week one, he didn't really do too much. He had 6 carries for 24 yards there. But again, he did have that game against Arizona earlier this season where he had a receiving touchdown in that game, 13 fantasy points. So kind of showing you a little bit of the ceiling. Now, they lost that game in Arizona, so something to at least pay a little bit of attention to there. Kind of scrolling through our Discord here, we have a lot of questions pertaining to the Minnesota Vikings passing offense here. Now, they're going up against the New Orleans Saints. We know Addison here. Coop was a little worried on the Dobbs sort of quarterback change, but to me, he obviously handled himself pretty well last week. Are you worried at all about Dobbs, picking up their playbook at all?
I'm not worried about him picking up the playbook. I think that he's very smart and very football intelligent, especially seeing what he did last week when he didn't know the plays or even the players' names.
Right.
What I'm more worried about with this game is the fact that TJ Hawkinson is expected to play, but is going to be affected. I think he's going to be on a snap count with that rib oblique injury, with Jordan Addison being matched up against Marshawn Lattimore, and then the Saints already being hard to run on, and the Vikings not really having much of a run game to speak of, especially after Cam Akers tore his Achilles. That kind of just aggregation of circumstances makes me a little bit more worried than Josh Dobbs' ability to pick up the plays.
Yeah, I agree with you here. Couple of questions that are popping in here to our chat. We have Jalen Tolbert today. Do we think this is the day that Jalen Tolbert gets some extra love?
I mean, he could, but I just don't see Dallas passing that much, to be honest. I think they're going to run the clock out. The defense is going to score. I actually have a prop on Dallas's defense to score the first touchdown of the game.
What's that pay?
It's plus 2,000.
I like it.
Yeah. So it could be Tolbert. We may see him get some snaps, but I don't think he's going to put up like buku fantasy points.
I mean, they're facing a quarterback that had negative passing yards in the game. So, anything is certainly possible there. And Sellers wants to know Jets D or Detroit D. I'm going to go Jets D versus Aiden O'Connell here.
Yep. Same here.
I also think the Chargers are a little bit of a sneaky defense. Howard and I kind of went back and forth on that one. He is concerned, with the running game and the Chargers secondary, but Jared Goff's stats to this season and kind of historically on the road are not very good. And while their offensive line in Detroit is very good, they do have an elite pass rush there. Mack and Bosa could cause some problems. So, what are your thoughts on David Montgomery coming back today? You think he's a full go? Because right now we have him at single-digit ownership for DFS.
Yeah, I think he'll be a full go. Now, whether or not you can put Gibbs back in the bottle and Montgomery gets that full snap share, whether or not the definition of full go is the same as it was before his injury is another question. I think Gibbs gets a little bit more work in the passing game while Montgomery still maintains that rushing role.
Sure.
But I see a lot of passing happening in this game.
Agreed. Uncle Ted saying Cowboys need a wide receiver 2 to step up. Tolbert had a good week last week, and then he's saying Jacksonville's going to own Purdy. 2 teams coming out of a bye, San Francisco and Jacksonville, so they've kind of had extra time to heal up and prepare. Trent Williams expected to be back for the 49ers here. Deebo Samuel's expected to be back for the 49ers. But Purdy clearly had some issues over the last few weeks here. Maybe the clock striking midnight on Cinderella. Is that the story we're doing with here? What are our thoughts on Jacksonville, San Francisco?
Yeah, so I actually think that Jacksonville can walk away with a win here. They rank 8th in turnover differential in the entire league. And in the last 3 games that the 49ers have lost, Purdy's turned the ball over 6 times. So if he didn't work on that during the bye week, if that's still an issue, or the turnovers, then Jacksonville's going to have a good day, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting way to go. Thoughts on Christian McCaffrey is the highest priced running back on DraftKings this week.
He's so hard to plug into the lineups because he is so high priced. He basically has to get 30 points just to equal his salary. So I tend to steer away from him and fade him, but I mean, Jacksonville does allow a ton of receptions to the running back position. I
Yeah.
think 7.5 per game. And with the wins, these little checkdowns could go McCaffrey's way. So today might be one of those days where he actually does pay
Yeah, he
off
just
his
gets like
salary.
six. Yeah, he just gets like 6 catches in games over here.
Yeah.
And wants to know in a PPR, Samuel Cooks or Jamal Williams here.
I think
Can't
I'm
go
gonna go.
Williams. He's just not playing enough.
No, I think I'm going to stick with Samuel.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel for me as well. Howell or Lawrence? This is kind of a popular question for us today. I think we went Sam Howell in this one though.
Yep. The wind situation worries me. ETN getting all the touchdowns worries me. I think Hal has higher upside.
Yep. Ethan, good morning, Ethan. Wants to know Algier or Singletary and a half PPR?
We've got to go with Algier. He's the best running back in the red zone, right? In the entire league.
They're gonna use them for sure.
Yeah.
ETN or Metcalf and a PPR for Adrian.
I think ETN actually. I think the carries are going to go his way.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably agree with you on that one. Again, just when I think that again we've seen San Francisco struggle recently to defend the pass, and the problem with the passing offense for the Jacksonville this year isn't necessarily the effectiveness. It's just that they're not scoring touchdowns because when they do get within the 20, it's ETN. He's running the football in for scores every time. So yeah, I think ETN's fine here. I do like Metcalf a lot today. Not too worried about the weather unless we get an updated report making me think otherwise. There could be a little sneaky back and forth game here. Let's see. And wants to know Reed, Shakir, Woods, Rondale.
I think I like Shakir, honestly. All right,
Yeah,
it's Shakir or Reed for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go Shakir as well. Again, we've seen the snap count for him increase. I'm just not a Rondale Moore. People like talking about Rondale Moore because they're like, oh, he's so fast. It's like, but he doesn't do anything. They don't use him. They don't like to use him. I don't think he's a very good wide receiver. He's like a bad version of Curtis Samuel, and you don't utilize him correctly here. So I'm kind of in agreement with you there. I'd go Shakir as well. Howell, Watson, or Murray? You got a Kyler Murray question here.
I'm just going to put my chips in on Kyler Murray. I think he figured out the playbook before the new Call of Duty came out.
You know what? The new Call of Duty campaign only took 3 hours long to complete. So hopefully it didn't take him 3 hours to do it, and he should have had plenty of time to open up his playbook and learn a little bit of what's been going on here.
Yeah, exactly. And his buddy Hollywood Brown is back out there with him. So
agreed. Half PPR, Ford or Singletary? I think we got to go Ford here, even though it's a tough matchup against Baltimore.
Yeah, just seeing what Singletary did, or better yet, didn't do last week. We're going to go Ford.
Agreed. Quirks wants to know Allen, Wilson, Johnson, London, Dell needs 3 in a PPR.
Oh, this is tough. These are good options.
Agreed.
Got to go Keenan Allen, just volume alone.
Yep, I think definitely Johnson gets locked in there as well.
Yep. And then I think Tank Dell is your third, again, because of the volume.
Yeah, not going to trust Garrett Wilson there. And Drake London is coming back, but I like Tank Dell as the number 1 this week. So full agreement with you as well. Vader's chick wants to know, if Chase doesn't play, do I pick up Gabe Davis, Thomas, or Shaheed? Also, Murray or Ford?
So, yeah, I mean, Davis, I think. We talked about him having a bounce back game against that zone coverage that the Broncos run. I like his upside more. Yeah. I know he has a lower floor, and we're going to go Ford. Murray just hasn't shown anything.
Agreed. Let's see here. Yeah, you can't do. We don't even know if Latavius Murray will be active this week, right? They're talking about.
Yep.
We don't know when Leonard Fournette will, or if he even will be activated at some point. Danny Finn's fan, Gibbs, Johnson, Dotson, Javonte needs 1 in the flex. I'm going Deontay here. I think he's the safer play.
Yep. That target volume is insane.
It's a McKenzie game. Go figure, says Sellers. Coop actually suggested it would be a McKenzie game on the Thursday football stream. Noted Patriots killer Isaiah McKenzie there. So Luke Britt, I'm all in on the Cards offense. Got big money with Murray. Got a big Murray team with Murray, Hollywood, McBride, and Connor. Well, you waited long enough to get Murray back here, so good looks for you there, sir. Singletary or Robinson? Got to go Robinson here today. Again, we're just not playing Singletary here.
Yep. He's persona non grata.
Quirk saying that Murray plays Warzone. Yeah, that's December 12th, Quirks. I'm waiting for it. I didn't buy the new Call of Duty. I'm not gonna spend the money to go play the multiplayer here. I'll just level the weapons during the Warzone, the new Warzone map that comes out. So we'll see. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's had time, but he could also be grinding that multiplayer, getting all those guns leveled up. He has all the attachments, all the camo skins. He's getting himself ready for Warzone. So let's see here. Sellers have sent you the link, so I don't know what we're going on there. All right, so we got a score. It is 3-0 New England here. Patriots drove into the red zone, did nothing, and now we have the Colts at the 20-yard line. They're driving in on this New England defense here. So again, if we have any touchdowns scored in this one, we will certainly bring those to you here. We got a few more minutes left in the show. So if you guys have any additional questions, whether it be DFS, seasonal, or any prop betting here today, feel free to throw those questions into the chat. Happy to help you out here. Britt, what other prop plays are you in on? You've been kind of killing it both on underdog and I imagine soon to be sleeper as well.
Yeah, I hope so. So I gave some of these out on my Friday show, and I'm just going to pull them up so I don't get them wrong. But Taysom Hill, anytime touchdown is a 2.2 multiplier. I definitely think his usage is it's gonna happen again today. Let me see my tickets so that I don't get these wrong. And I'm getting all kinds of notifications about college. It's not time for college right now.
Right.
Also, to correlate with that Amon-Ra St. Brown receiving stat, the 6.5 receptions, I'm going more than that. Javonte Williams, more than 54.5 rushing yards. Josh Allen, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. He's had that pretty much all season long. His Monday night record, though, he's averaging 2.78 touchdowns per game. So I think that one is as close to a lock on a touchdown prop as you can get, right?
Yeah.
And then DeAndre Hopkins, an anytime touchdown. I think against this Bucs defense, that's the one that's a little bit risky if I had to pick the most risky out of these. But I think against the Bucs, he gets it done today.
Yeah, I'm with you there as well. Let me get your thoughts on this one. I'm kind of perusing. I know Ann asked me on Twitter if I had any prize picks plays for her. Rushing yards in the first 5 rushing attempts, Devin Singletary set at 17.5. Do we think Devin Singletary can average 3.5 yards a carry here? Actually, he probably needs a little bit more than 3.5 yards a carry there to get over the 17.5 rushing yards. Last week, for instance, he had 26 yards on 13 carries. The week before that, he had 30 yards on 10. Do we think Singletary can get over the 17.5 in 5 carries here today against Cincinnati?
I really don't. I don't. I know that the Bengals are allowing the second most rush yards per attempt, but I just don't trust Singletary. I don't.
I don't either. I have a hard time thinking he's going to be able to bust one out there. So that one is kind of appealing. On the flip side, you have Joe Mixon, same thing, 18.5 in his first 5. I know the Bengals haven't really ran the ball efficiently this year either, but another bad run defense that they're going to be going up against here today. So definitely some interesting rushing props out there. CMC's at 21.5 yards for his first 5. He's kind of a big play guy. Could get going there as well. Troy wants to know our thoughts on cash gains versus tournament spend. I think the consensus usually is somewhere in the range of like 2-1 cash gains versus tournaments. So, if you miss your tournament play and you hit your cash game, you still come out with a little bit of money or breaking even there. I think I know that's how Howard ends up playing it. So if he loses his tournaments, his cash game lineup basically covers his entry fees. Dan Malin, though, in our Discord, Troy, I know you're in there. That man is a tournament connoisseur. Every week he is throwing out screenshots of winning plays, and he has a really good breakdown of the number of cash games versus tournament exposure that he has there. So definitely go hit him up in that Discord chat. He'll give you some good advice on how to kind of structure your entry fees there. Quicks wants to know, do we start Hawk with the Q tag or go McBride?
I'm going to go McBride here. It's the questionable tag and it's the Davis, the linebacker. Sorry. I haven't had enough coffee this morning, but the Saints linebacker is kind of a tight end killer. So yeah, I'm going to go McBride.
Agreed. Dolphins fan wants to know, Murray going to be a little rusty? He could be. Certainly could be a little rusty. We got a 4th and goal from the 1 here for the Colts, and we have a Colts touchdown by Jonathan Taylor.
There we go.
There you go. Rushing touchdown on 4th down there. Patriots continue just to be terrible. Last question for Raiders Shake here. Levis or Burrow, please and thank you.
Oof. I'm still going to go with Burrow.
Yeah, I think I'll go Burrow. It's obviously not great, though.
Yeah.
Not great. But Levis, I mean, much more of a risk going Levis here this week. Quirks wants to know, how about Connor? Do we trust him, or would you play Shakir over him?
I think I would trust Connor over Shakir, but I think that the floor may be a little low.
I think they said Connor's ready to go. I trust that Connor's ready to go, so I'm gonna believe that they're gonna give him the workload here today. That offense should move. Listen, for as much as like Dobbs was like average, like that offense still kind of scored points. So, I don't think there's a huge drop off for Connor with Kyler Murray obviously being in there. Danny wants to know, is Chase in or out? We don't know yet. Game time decision, dealing with that back. No T. Higgins already. That's the biggest question, right? I'll say this, Vaders. If Chase gets ruled out, I probably go Levis. I trust Levis against Tampa Bay with DeAndre Hopkins and that team. Then, I'm blanking on the name now there. Burrow with like Irwin and the rookie and the tight end. Like I just don't see that happening there. Olsen's Troy says he's a tournament junkie. We all are, but actually the other day in NBA, Britt, when I started playing DFS, I was like strictly cash games. I hated playing tournaments. I like the idea of like setting winning 50% of my money or doubling my money every night was good enough for me. 100% happy with it. Sure, I throw $1 in like the $5 single or something like that, see if something would happen. But like I was like 90% cash games with a random tournament dart. And then what happened was the platform sort of expanded. The multi-entry lineup started becoming more of a thing in GBPs, in cash games as well. And the cash lineups that cash those 50-50s started being just as high as the tournaments. I'm like, well, what am I doing then? I might as well just go play a tournament and hope that I just have a good night here if it takes the min cash a tournament anyways. And I kind of just flipped. But this past week, I kind of went back to some cash games in the NBA to kind of help out, offset some stuff, and it's been a pretty good time. So I don't mind checking out the cash games. They're definitely good to kind of save your bankroll a little bit here. Danny wants to know, Tyler Boyd in DFS. Tyler Boyd in DFS for me probably anyways today. But obviously, if Chase is out, he's probably the number 1 wide receiver in that offense. So
yeah.
I know we haven't mentioned him yet. We've just been mentioning all the value plays, but yes, Boyd for sure would be a top target there. And we think Irv Smith might be a sneaky guy there as well if they end up getting ruled out. Guys, appreciate everybody checking into the chat here again today. We'll be back. I'll be back at 11 o'clock Eastern time with Coop, getting you guys ready for the NFL inactives to come out. If you haven't already, download the BetterCast app, scan the QR code there, do so. Pre-game questions are live for tonight's Jets-Raiders game. The Jets are on, so Howard Bender is going to be in tonight's BetterCast app chat with everybody there. So go watch the game tonight with Bender. Download the app, scan the QR code. Completely free to do, completely free to play. Get an opportunity to win some pretty cool prizes there, autographed memorabilia, jerseys, and other things of that nature. If you're into those things, download the app, scan the QR code, get involved, and have some fun with us over there. Go listen to Bender and Coop on Sirius XM Fantasy right now, then come right back here. We will catch you all later. Have a good week 10, everybody.